Hello. Notice the date on this. I replied to a 2001 email. So the green text does Wadi in 2001. This doesn't give a reason yet. They can be. Hopefully there's a reason below somewhere. Oh yeah, this is a good example. This explains where Aaron's coming from in the above section a lot better. If the parent's just going around grabbing the kid and dragging him away from stuff, then the parent's going to have some responsibility for the resulting coercion. I hope the cars aren't too loud. I'll check the video later, but I'll probably just post it regardless. I paused and closed the window. I'm so smart. One thing you can do when you write stuff like this, you can mention that you explain more below. Because some people won't give you the benefit of the doubt as much, or they won't think, okay, there might be an explanation below, and I'll have to connect it back to this. Some people will just react to this part right away, and then move on. And if they did that, then it would look bad. Because it doesn't explain enough. Because the explanation is later. So if you tell people the explanation is later, that can help. Hmm. I don't know which way Waddy meant it. Like here, she could be saying that the parent should help the kid resolve the conflicts, but not because all the conflicts are due to coercion. There's other reasons. I don't think I'm gonna worry about it too much. It's like an old confused comment from someone who no longer cares about TCS. And I don't think many other people have the same confusion. And especially not the same, like, wording issues. It's kind of specific. So I'm just gonna move on. And it didn't strike my interest either. I mean, it did for like 2 minutes, but not enough to write about it. Oh yeah, so this is me talking now in blue. Yeah, I wrote that. Yes. I dropped most of the context. It was long and it wasn't that relevant. I think my post did a good job of being reasonably self-contained. Like, you can understand what it says, even if you don't read what it was arguing against. Which is a good way to write. You don't want your post to rely on the quoted text unless there's a good reason and it's sort of needed. But, like, if you can just pick one way or another, it's better to write stuff that reads independently. So that it's... If text only works as a reply to one thing, it's more parochial and it has less reach. Whereas if it's more of a general comment about life, that's going to have broader applicability, broader reach, broader interest, generally. And it's generally going to be a little better writing and easier to understand. Because the more different pieces of writing get tied together in like a web of all these different ideas, the harder it is to follow it and make sense of all of it. Whereas if you have all these little things that stand alone and you can understand them all individually, then it's easier to understand what's being said. And it's okay to have links between ideas, but if you can understand if you can understand one idea before you understand the other one, then it's easier than if you have to sort of understand them at the same time because they're connected. Alright, email done. There are several replies from Aaron to me replying to old emails. Like, this is 1999. No one else replied to any of my old emails, I don't think. Because I answered like 20 old emails or something. And then no one said anything. And then a few days later, Aaron replied to some of them, but no one else, I guess. I read an article about Bruce Jenner. No, wait, maybe. It was either Bruce Jenner or it was one of those new TV shows about trans people. I think it was a TV show, actually. And anyway, it just sort of casually mentioned, like, the divorce part of everything. Like, it was nothing. And, like, it wasn't even interesting. And with no sympathy to the wife who got screwed over, had a bad time. Um, I'm not a fan of marriage, but stuff like that, seeing the left just sort of destroy a marriage and not care. And the people involved, they did like marriage, even if I didn't. It mattered to their lives. So it gives me more sympathy for the right and like Ann Coulter and people. I think, like, if you're actually in a marriage, ending it deserves some like gravity and importance. But this person, like, they're much more interested in other things than any possible pain that they might have caused their husband. Like, they're worried about, it's not quoted right here, but I remember reading it. They were worried about the pain that their new uh, partner was feeling over not being dumped, but just non-monogamy. But the husband got dumped from a marriage, and they don't really seem to care or say anything about that. But the new person they've been dating for a few years gets a lot more sympathy. And I think that perspective is not quite right. Like, doesn't the husband deserve equal time? Maybe even more? You made marriage vows to the husband. Doesn't your word mean something? I'm not saying you have to keep your marriage vows, but if you break them, like, you should at least see that as kind of a big deal. It's not like a casual thing to break a vow. Right, you're allowed to break up your marriage because you're trans, but it's a double standard. Most people are against destroying marriage most of the time. Like, because your wife is fat. That's not considered a good reason. So the same person who does place value on marriage, um, and will disapprove of most ways of destroying a marriage, treats trans special. Like, the trans person is allowed to destroy a marriage. They have a special, like, press pass that lets them do whatever they want. A little badge that gets them through security, and no one can say anything about it. Yeah, of course, not many people are that interested in applying reason to marriage. They don't want to go read ARR ideas. They don't want to post on FI about it. They don't want to learn how to think and stuff. Oh, see, I say reason here. Talking about reading the same person, I had already pointed out that reason wasn't a major factor in what they were doing. Yeah, a lot of the AR posters were into poly stuff. Yeah, they want to, they don't think too hard. I don't have anything too important to say about this. I'll just go to the next one. Here. 1998. Oh, Aaron keeps replying to these other people instead of me. This doesn't even have me quoted. See, it attributes me just because I quoted Lori. But then there's no text from me. I mean, I understand why she did this. Because it's easier to reply to my 2015 email than to go get a copy of a 1998 email to reply to. But, it's sad for me because it looks like a reply to me and then there isn't one. And replies to me are usually more interesting than replies to other people. Because they'll have to do with stuff that I thought was interesting to talk about. Oh, there's this bug where the unread count disappears, see? No unread count. Now, if I switch programs, now it's back. And then I come back and it's still here. But it just goes away sometimes. So that sucks. And it's not that big a deal. But it's buggy. The new OS X is gonna fix bugs. Hopefully it'll be better. Okay, so Lori's writing about... Oh, TCS and stuff is easy. If it's so easy, why is she not on a FI list today? Why did she disappear? If memory serves, I don't recall ever talking to her. And I started posting in 2002. So she might have been gone, within a few years of saying how easy stuff is. I could have talked to her. I don't remember for sure. But my best guess is I don't recall her posting later. And, I mean, she certainly hasn't posted recently. If it was recent, I'd definitely remember. Like, FI List has been around for like 2 or 3 years. She definitely hasn't posted there. And I'm pretty damn doubtful that she's posted on BOI or on the TCS Google group that I made. So that gets us back a ways. Oh, this is like that Wadi post where blame everyone for their own coercion. But this one spells it wrong too. That should be a C. Right? See, coercion. Now let's see if we put an S. I don't think it's right. Yeah, see? It wants to help me learn how to spell. If it was just like a British thing, then first of all I would have gotten used to the spelling because of David Deutsch writing it, and like Alan and other British people. And second of all, the dictionary usually has British spellings. Like if we put in a British spelling, like criticize. No, that's not it. This is the Z becomes an S. Yeah, see, British spelling, British variant. See, the Brits put the S into the Z, and that's actually in our dictionary when I try to look it up. Alright, let's see. Oh, Alan replied to this. Yeah, other people will have moral responsibility for fucking with you. It's not like it's just all your fault. See, if you're trying to solve the problem, you want to look at what can you change and look for every way to blame yourself, because the stuff you can blame yourself for is stuff you can control and change. And if you have to go and ask someone else to make a change, it's a lot harder to solve the problem. Looking for things you can do is a good problem-solving technique, but problem solving is not the only way to look at something. You can also look at like who's a bad person or who is hurting someone. And if you're trying to look at that, you don't look at every way to blame yourself. So I guess I'll write that. Okay. See, that was easy. Easy post. And the partly responsible thing is okay, but I think the context perspective is better. That who's responsible depends on what you're trying to accomplish by assigning responsibility. And then you could still end up with partial answers. But the most important thing is to understand what problem am I trying to solve with this responsibility assignment. Because you can assign responsibility different ways depending what you're trying to accomplish, what the point is. So I think I'll reply to this also. I only read to here. I'll read a bit more. Normally I just start writing stuff right away, but because I explained it in voice, I'm not going to forget as easily, so I can read a bit further. If I wasn't making a screencast though, instead of saying that out loud, I would have just typed something. So I would have, because I don't want to just keep reading in the first place. Once I have an idea, I want to get the idea out. So if I wasn't talking, I would have typed stuff. But because I talked, I can keep reading a bit more before I write it out. Because the important thing is, as soon as I get somewhere that I have an idea, I want to think it out, think it through myself, and clarify it in my own mind. So I could do that sitting there silently. And, you know, sometimes I do that, but a lot of the time I write stuff and put it into actual words. And using voice works okay also. Ride A like a little bitch, huh? And A will go along. He changed like writing styles. This comment's kind of random. Like, it's not terribly important, but it just sort of was something I noticed. And I think it's good to write things you notice, even without always having a reason that they're super important to talk about. Um, it's hard to predict what discussion will go anywhere. Like, I don't know what Alan's gonna say to this. He might just be like, I don't care. He might not reply. But he might, like, say something interesting. I don't know. And someone else might comment. And there's not much downside. Like, if no one replies to this, which is completely possible, that's no big deal. So one thing I found out by reading forward is I can just reply at the end with about the partly responsible thing because Alan keeps talking about it. Like, he's talking about it more at the end too. So I don't have to reply up here. I can reply after he finishes his thoughts. I had an overly strong statement of only looking at one thing when it's better to just say emphasize. Alright, another email done. $19.98. Oh, it's Rain. I remember that name because some of the old people thought Rain was like a major poster or someone notable. But she quit or whatever before I posted much, I think. I think there might have been a little overlap, but not very much. So the blue is me and the green is Rain. So when I see myself asking questions like this, even if I don't remember what the green text was, you can kind of tell it must have been bad. I probably won't need to reread it. Or at least not all of it. Child's autonomy reigns supreme. So then I ask, yeah, reign over what? And how does autonomy, which means independence, reign over something? Because reigning is a relationship to other people. It's like asking about Howard Rourke reigning over people. It doesn't make sense. People are so confused about what autonomy even is. This was an ARR post or TCS? It was ARR. Okay, so posting the ARR list, not understanding at all what autonomy means. And that's a poster who stood out to people back then. I think she stood out more for her TCS posts, though. I don't know if I spelled that right, so. I guess I got it. Brown text. Where'd that come from? Oh, it comes from Rain quoting someone and. Wait. Oh, it comes from I hit reply. I confused myself because I was reading it like this, and then when I start replying, it adds quote levels. Yeah, I usually don't confuse myself like that. Okay, so the brown is Rain. And the blues are in Muncher. I'll just go back to reading it here. It'll be easier for you guys. Nod, nod. Yeah, that's not what autonomy means. Oh god, this is so bad. Oh, fuck this. So anti-individual and shit. Was it Supreme? Yeah, she actually wrote Reign Supreme. The child's autonomy reigns supreme, right? I can probably just use the quote. Alright. I called someone a liar. It's one of my hallmarks, my trademarks, my skills. I think these are. Let's take a look. Oh, no, I don't want to read that right now. What's this? Did you see how it was like marked red? Marked unread while it was selected for a while? It's the way the unread marking works is not ideal. I wish it would just be instant. So that seems like Alan's conceding. So he should have, on his own initiative, then done something about it. So he should have done this on his own, but I'll prompt him. I need to check, before I can send something like this, I have to read the rest of the email. Because I don't think so, especially because I skimmed it. But it's possible to do this at the bottom of the email or something. You know, he could do it later. So you don't want to say something like this before you finish reading the email. It's okay to type it, but you have to be willing to scroll back up and delete it if it becomes irrelevant or wrong. But I know in this case he only wrote a little bit more. Oh, I remember this stuff with the A and the B. I remember it was like confusing. And now he's commenting on it, still using the A and the B. So if you wanted to understand this new comment, you'd have to go sort out the original mess that was itself confusing. Okay, well, he's conceding. So, I'm definitely not going to go back and try to make sense of what he conceded was not clear. So I'll just delete all this. And yeah, so it definitely wasn't a follow-up where he revised this stuff. So there we go, another email, easy as that. I mean, all the work for that email was in the previous email. See, in the previous email, I like argued a point. But in this email, I just had a really simple follow-up. Like, all right, if you're going to concede, why don't you take it further than that? And, you know, take the new ideas you just learned or whatever and try to work with them. Let's see what the time is. Oh yeah, there's this thing where you can have the time show up and the microphone levels. I found this earlier today, but I forgot about it. 43 minutes, huh? Let's see. How long is this? You know what? I'm gonna stop here for now. So, yeah, you should join the Fallible Ideas list and join the discussions and try to learn something. And you should post on the list comments on my videos. And then we could discuss them. That would be good. And if you don't think it would be good, then you can argue with me. So either you agree it would be good or we have something to argue about. Alright, bye bye.